share this amazing news that I have for you guys. I finally am graduating college. My graduation was scheduled for Saturday the 12th, but because of coronavirus and the new stay-at-home order in my area, the ceremony was unfortunately canceled, which I'm honestly not that upset about, and I will explain why later on in this video. But I thought to celebrate this momentous occasion for me, I thought I would share my college experience with you guys. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I am a very brutally honest person, and so my story might not be the happiest, and it might not be the most positive, but that is me being honest, when I say that. So we're gonna start at the very beginning. So I graduated high school in 2015. I was 17 when I graduated in June, and then I turned 18 that July. Prior to that, my senior year of high school, I did take college classes at the community college because I was told that would look better on college applications. And because I've honestly really liked school and I wanted to. So I took general psychology my first semester of senior year and then communications my second. So I graduated high school with 6 college credits already. So I decided to go the community college route because 17-year-old me was stupid and only applied to 2 colleges, one of which I got into because I'm local, and the other one I did not, which I was devastated about. I really wanted to go to San Francisco State, and I was very upset when I did not get accepted. But I found out that none of my peers who applied got accepted that year, so whatever. So I went to community college for 2 years. We have a local community college in my hometown, and that's where I had most of my classes, but we didn't have foreign language classes there or science, so I went to the center for that same college in the city next to me. And that's where I took ASL, biology, general, abnormal psychology. I think there's only 3 classes I had there. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so I did that all of 2015, well, the latter half of 2015, and then all of 2016. And those years were actually pretty great. I started working right out of high school. I worked at a hotel for the summer, and then I worked at a frozen yogurt shop for a little while. And then in 2016, I started working at a Deli Delicious. And that was my first real job and one of the jobs that I absolutely loved, and will always talk about in job interviews. So I worked on that all of 2016. I also started doing theater in 2016. I was in a play called Beauty and the Buccaneer that the theater company in my hometown did. It was an original play, and I got to play Rosa, one of the silly girls, who is one of the fangirls for Gaspard or Gaston. Beauty and the Buccaneer was a pirate version of Beauty and the Beast. And 2016 was also the year that I got my dog Bella, who is right behind me. Bella, we're gonna say hi. That's when I got this little fuzz bucket here. And I got her when she was 3 months old, and she is almost 5 now. Okay, where are you gonna go, Bella? No, no, no. No, no, no. Noo-nooing is when she licks things. It's a Teletubbies reference. Anyways, so 2016, towards the end of the year, I was like, I don't really have much more to do at community college. I wasn't going for an associate degree, and I felt like I had taken all the JC classes that I could. And so that's when I started looking into other colleges to go to. And that's when I found the name of the college that I went to, which is Fresno Pacific University. One of my friends, Gracie, who was in the show, Beauty and the Buccaneer with me, had just transferred to FPU, and it seemed really great from what she was telling me, so I'm like, I'm gonna apply because I don't want to go so far away from home, but I also want to not live in my parents' house anymore. So I applied, and I got accepted on the day that the show I was in opened. I was in a show called Believe in Christmas, which is a variety Christmas show. I was a featured dancer. I did a Clara variation and a Sugar Plum variation that I choreographed myself, and was featured in several songs as well. And I actually think that the show opened 4 years ago today. Anyway, So I got accepted, and I was so excited to, like, be moving out, to start my, like, actual adult life. So January of 2017, I moved to FPU. I lived in the sophomore mod, which I describe as a house with no kitchen. It was 2 girls per room, and there were 20 of us total. And it was 2 floors. And it just so happened that the same mod Gracie was living in had 1 extra bed available, and that was the bed that I got. And I was a couple of doors down from Gracie, and that was really great. My big problem that I have is when I get stressed out over to my max, I get sick. So I got sick the first week of classes, and missed the entire second week of school, which is horrible. I don't think I've ever been sicker in my life than that time. So yeah, that was great. In March 2017, I fell down the stairs and hurt my ankle really badly, so that was fun. And I was in rehearsal for a play called Framed at this time. Framed is a fairy tale mystery where the red ruby that keeps all the fairy tales intact goes missing, and people are blaming Prince John from Nottingham, who is trying to prove to the fairy tale creatures they just aren't evil anymore. I played Fit, the fairy in training, who was the co-narrator of the story along with the fairy godmother. And what was really cool was, being an original show, we got to script my injury into the show. Because right after I got out of the cast on my first ankle injury, I hit the side of my foot on my bedboard and broke my 5th metatarsal. That was fun. So I was roughly in a cast/boot from March to June of 2017. Yeah, that was fun. I was in a boot for the show, and we got to poke fun at my injury, which is hysterical. And everyone thought that was part of the character, not actually something that happened to me. Excuse any noise that you hear here. We're having a window fixed. So 2017 was the year that my health started to really decline. That was the year that I was diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome. As a result of being in a cast for like 4 months. And it started off in my left ankle and traveled to my knee and my hip and then mirrored to my other leg. So I have CRPS from my waist down, which is really, really painful at times. It kind of feels like the really annoying pins and needles feeling you get, where it hurts to walk and you start limping. But imagine that from your waist down. Doesn't sound too fun. So 2017, shush, Bella, shush. Thank you, Bella, for being a little guard dog. No barking, okay? Thank you. So that's when my pain started getting really bad. Quiet, Bella. And so I decided that I needed to use a wheelchair because it was very hard for me to walk from the house I was living at on campus, even though it was maybe like a couple hundred feet from the house to the gates of campus. But like walking around from all the different places on campus was really challenging and really painful for me, and crutches did not work. So I first got a wheelchair off of Facebook Marketplace. It was way too big for me. I could sit cross-legged in it. But it got me from point A to point B, and that's all I really needed. And then later on, we had gone to a pharmacy where you buy, like, medical equipment that sometimes is secondhand. And I happened to find this bright blue wheelchair that fit me perfectly. It folded up, which I really liked, and it was like 45 pounds, so it's a really hard time, like, transferring it into the car and then taking it out all the time. But I ended up buying that, and that's what I used for about 2 years. And it really did help. It had, like, a guardrail on the side of the wheels, so your thumbs wouldn't get caught in the actual wheel, which is really helpful because I wear acrylic nails, and I've definitely had acrylic nails fall off from using the wheelchair. Yeah, so that was the time that my health started to really decline, and it was really challenging for me. Because I could still walk, even though a lot of people thought I was paralyzed, even though I never was. There were many days where people questioned my need for the wheelchair, including my mom. I had friends do that too. It's really hard. I also was going through a lot, like, with my mental health. And I had a really bad mental health scare, November of 2017. And so that was fun. And then after that event, I did, home hospital, I guess is what you could call it, where I went back home and did all my assignments from home, because I couldn't stay at school. And then I moved back, in 2018. But like due to my pain and stuff, going to classes was extremely challenging for me. There were days where I couldn't get out of bed, to go to classes, much less push myself in a 45-pound wheelchair. They moved me onto an apartment on campus to see if that would help, which it did to an extent, but I still couldn't get to classes and eventually started to fail. So my two options were to try to continue out the semester and go to all my classes and most likely fail them and I'll be able to return in the fall, or take a medical leave of absence and then be able to return in the fall. And I really didn't have a choice, so I went and took the medical leave. And all of that semester, so I probably left in like February of 2018. It was really challenging, for me. I went through a lot with my mental health. I went through a lot with like my wheelchair problems and all of that kind of stuff. There was a lot of drama and bullying and a lot of crap that I went through in 2018. But then I did move back again in the fall. Had a really horrible roommate experience. Still struggled massively with my mental health. And ended up commuting from my house to the college and back, which is like an hour-ish. Yeah, and then 2019, I, again, moved back to college because I liked living on campus and I hated living at home. And it was relatively pretty good. I had a decent roommate. We got along well, but we didn't see each other that often. And she was busy with her stuff and I was busy with mine, and we were both like really big introverts and I spent most of the time hiding in our rooms anyway. But 2019 was actually a pretty good year as far as like my health goes. I originally didn't use the wheelchair, but then brought it later on, when moving in caused a really bad pain flare. But I used it off and on, in 2019. I got to go to New York during spring break and I saw the Prom musical, which was amazing. It was my second solo trip, across the United States. And I really loved that trip. It was great seeing family and being the adult there and not like with my parents, I guess, and I really enjoyed that trip. I was also in a staged reading called Camping, which is my friend Jesse's senior project. I played Reagan in that, and that was the comedic relief / girlfriend of Damien. It was a really dark play, but it was amazing to be in a stage reading. It was amazing being cast in that. The whole audition and callback and rehearsals part was just incredible, and I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the performance. I got to learn what it's like to use a stage gun in the show, because, spoiler alert, in the end, my character gets shot. So that was really fun, being able to like work out that scene. There were a couple tableau scenes we did where I like memorized my lines, and so did the other person that scene with me. And then we had moments where we froze. And then like dialogue was said. It was really interesting and it was really fun to do that. Now I'm trying to think what else happened in 2019. I turned 22 that year, so I turned 21 in 2018. And that was cool, I guess. But then I turned 22 in 2019. My sister Jessa got married the day after my birthday, and so I went down south to see her for the wedding, and we like spent my birthday together, and that was really fun. And then 2019, I decided that I couldn't keep up with in-person classes anymore. I debated about transferring to a different school, but I just wanted to graduate. And so I joined an online program called Degree Completion. Degree Completion is for those that either leave school, those that are a lot older and want to get their BA degree online, or for those like me who can't or couldn't keep up with like 5 in-person classes. The nice thing about my DC program is that it's 1 class every 6 weeks, which is so much easier than trying to manage 5 classes at a time. It was really great. I had to change my major, unfortunately. So I originally was a psych major, and then I was a theater major, and I took a ton of theater classes. I think I had a few left. And then I could have completed my theater major, but I ended up not being able to. But I count it as an honorary theater degree. But my majors are in early childhood development. So I joined the DC program July of 2019. And the cool thing with this program is you get your degree in 18 months. So 18 months from July of 2019 would be December of 2020, which is now. So I did that. I was very lucky to have my school allow me to live on campus during fall of last year and then spring of this year. Spring of this year I had an amazing housemate, Rainessa. Even though like I always had single rooms because of my disability, it was really great having a roommate that housemate I really liked. And the cool thing with the apartment that I had this past spring is that it was actually the disability apartment. I had a full like accessible shower, which was great. So like I could actually sit down in the shower, which was helpful when I was in a lot of pain or crippled. Yeah, and then I was there this past spring, but then COVID hit and I had to move back. But before that, I had gone to New York for a family wedding, and I got to see Beetlejuice, which was amazing. That was my first time seeing a Broadway show by myself, because usually I always had someone go with me. But tickets were really expensive, and we couldn't afford 2 tickets, so I had family in the city, but I saw the show by myself. And then after that, I went on a camping trip with my school during our spring break. And that was really amazing because then I gone camping in like 10 years, and I swear, had the best sleep of my life on that camping trip. Even though the mattress is like really firm and not very comfortable, and it was really cold at night, I still had an amazing time. And I was so excited to be going back to school, and then we got the news that campus was closed and you had to move out. So I moved out, it was fine, it was whatever. And then I've been back at my parents' house ever since. My big quarantine project was redecorating my room, which you guys saw in a video I posted a little while ago. I have made updated changes, like my bed placement, but yeah, I've been living at home since March of this year. And honestly, it hasn't been as bad as it has in years prior. I think a big part of me getting better, both with my pain and mentally, is adopting the I don't care what other people think of me mindset. That's truly the best mental freedom I've ever given myself, was just not caring. Because I care a lot, and think that contributed a lot to my unhappiness. Was I always wanted to be liked by everyone else. I always was a people pleaser. And that was really challenging at times. I remember when I took voice lessons in 2018, I had just discovered the Prom Musical and Caitlin Kinnunen, who is my idol and like role model, but I'll get to that later. And I remember telling my voice coach that I so badly wanted to be like her, because she seemed so fearless to me with performing on Broadway and dealing with health conditions, including one that I also have. And it was just amazing, like, seeing someone do what I wanted to do, and doing it really well. And so I remember telling her, I just want that mindset of not caring. And she had told me that comes with age. So she said once I was Caitlin's age, and I think Caitlin was 27 that year, then I would too be like that. But fun fact, I'm 23 now, and I definitely have the mindset I wanted at 21. Trying to think what else do I want to share about college. Oh, totally forgot to mention this. So 2019, I developed an aversion to the meds I was on and went off of them, totally with doctor's approval, and that was also the best thing that I've ever done. It was really challenging getting off all of my meds, but it really did help. All the brain fog that I was experiencing went away. I could actually comprehend what I was reading, which is a big problem I had as an undergrad, was that I couldn't read textbooks and understand what I was reading. Like, I would forget. So exams were not my friend. That was a huge help for me, and that's been a big contributor into who I am now. It's just being off my meds and not caring. So I definitely recommend learning how to not care what other people think. Because truly it is life-saving, life-changing. But yeah, I am doing a whole lot better than I was in the years prior. I am not the same person I used to be at all. I like to think of my college years as a life cycle of a butterfly. When you're new to college and you're new to being an adult, you're trying to figure out your place in the world, you're getting knowledge, and I like to think of that as a caterpillar. And then the dark period of my life, I like to think of as being in the cocoon, and that's when you're transforming. So things happen, you learn from them, you gain experience, more things happen, you learn, you gain from experience, and then this year I've emerged as the butterfly that I am right now, which is just me. And I like to think that the me I am now is closer to the me that I used to be, pre-mental health issues and physical health issues. So yeah, that's been my college experience. It wasn't the best. I honestly will say that high school was the best experience for me. And I'm gonna be the big weirdo who would say that I would go back to high school, but I would not go back to college. But yeah, my ceremony was supposed to be on Saturday, but it got canceled, which is fine, because like I said, I really just don't care. My biggest wish for the past 2 years was to graduate college, and that happened, and even though it's been the most weirdest year and most unconventional graduation ever, at the end of the day, I get my degree, and that's what matters in 5 years. A stupid ceremony is not going to matter in 5 years from now, but my degree will. And that is the 5x5 rule that I live by. If it will matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes being upset and or worrying about it. I've told this to like 20 different people who've asked me, why are you not upset about your graduation being canceled? Because it will matter in 5 years. But that's pretty much it for my rant on my college years. My last day to turn in assignments is the 27th. My last Monday night session is the 21st. And hopefully I will have all my alumni stuff next year. As far as next year goes, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing besides working. Looking into a teaching credentialing program, because that's kind of my backup plan, is to be a teacher in my 20s and hopefully work on becoming a child life specialist in my 30s. We'll see what happens with coronavirus and things opening up, because I can't really get the hours that I need for my child life internship until schools open up again and hospitals take volunteers. So that could be like 2 years from now, that could be next year, and it could be 5 years from now. But I will be here to make all of that happen. Hope you guys learned a little bit about me from my college years story. I apologize for how ranty this sounded. I did not prepare anything at a time. But I do have a blog post that will be up by the time you guys watch this, that you can read if you want a better idea of my college years. Hope you guys are all happy, safe, and if you like this video, give it a big one of these, leave one of those, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.